ourselves, see that we're not where we're supposed to be. And that means that it is incumbent upon every Jew to bring us back to where we are supposed to be. This is our prayer for the Jewish people.
Let me take you back a trip I took. The scripture so vivid as a picture book. Listen as I describe the illustration of the fate of mankind and the birth of a nation. We were conceived while slaves in chains, then forced out to freedom and labor pain. And in 49 days we were reaching the heights. In a world of darkness we'd be the beacon of light. The young rebels hated like the pebble that became the cornerstone of a temple. We reigned as kings until we were swayed by the devil. Now we stand trial as a nation in exile. Not lost though, we're just a little sidetrack. This little nap is a temporary time lapse. The horns blowing, signaling the climax. Fast like the lion man, time to get our pride back. We are so remember what our past had in store for us. In history we hadn't had a slow minute. We traveled so distant, carried our homesickness. Everywhere we went they told us no admittance. At best they said you can mind your own business. At worst we were tortured and thrown in prisons. But after all the pain that our soul has witnessed, the struggles in our blood down to our own fitness, our immortality makes us so different. Cause we kept on living and Rome didn't. Babylon, Greece, Persia, who's next to fall? They knocked down like a wrecking ball. And even though we're laid low, still our heads that fall. Cause I see plants sprout from the cracks of the western wall. You are so
I'll just tell you a little bit about Shtar. We've been playing for about 5 years, 4.5, 5 years around this whole town of Israel, Beit Shemesh, Yerushalayim, Beit Shem. We've been on tour into the UK, we've toured a little bit into America. We were representing Israel in Poland recently, which was an amazing show. And we used to have a rabbi here called Ori Murray, and he left a little while back, and we were blessed. The Kodesh Baruch Hu sent us this new man over here to my right, Moshe Friedman. Give it up for Moshe Friedman. And basically, Moshe's going to tell you a little bit about himself, maybe. The kids' version, so you can get an idea of kind of where we're from and what we're doing. Okay, so to you, Moshe.
Okay, I'll paint a picture for you, okay? Let me take you back, holy brothers. 6.5 years ago, 7 years ago. So you would be watching me walk down the streets in a place called Locust Walk, which is the main drag at the University of Pennsylvania, although I didn't look the way that I do now. I had this long, big Jew fro, sporting lots of hemp clothing. Basically your average Ivy League hippie. And my plans for after graduation were the following. I was signed up to go be a volunteer at a Buddhist meditation center in California. And at the same time, I was hired to write a screenplay for an independent producer in New York. So, yeah. So basically, like every good Jew, I found Buddhism, and that was where I was headed. Until one day when I met the rabbi on campus. Somebody told me that there was a rabbi on campus who not only knew a lot about Jewish mysticism, but also had been a screenwriter himself for 5 years in Hollywood, had lived with David Schwimmer for 5 years. And so I thought I'd meet the guy. Long story short, had a few schmoozes with him, some coffee, convinced me to come on a Israel trip. And I was like, wow, that was amazing, that's incredible. That was the first exposure I'd ever had to real Jewish learning. And I was like, okay, this is beautiful. Maybe one day I'll have to come to yeshiva in like 7 years after I've gone to India and spent time in an ashram. That summer, I got a job before I was ready to go to this Buddhist meditation center. I got a job working at a pizza store, living in Brooklyn with a whole bunch of hippies, and it was cool. Except for the pizza store job, that was terrible. Has anybody here ever worked at a pizza store? Yeah. I've never thought it was possible to actually burn my calf, but it happened. So, anyway, one day, somebody called me up, one of the rabbis that I knew, and said, would you like to go on a retreat in upstate New York? And I said, anything to get me out of this pizza job. So I went to this retreat, and I'm just hearing more and more just truth. You know, have you ever been like blown away, like you're just like, okay, I can't ignore that anymore? And I'm thinking, boy, I'm torn, because part of me knows that everything I was looking for, that experience, that spirituality that I was seeking in Buddhism, it was here. It was what I was born with. But on the other hand, the hippies were just so cool. So I'm thinking, what do I do? Yeshiva, hippies, yeshiva, hippies. Until one day I get a phone call from my roommate, Devan. Okay? Devan, 6'7", white, dreadlocked dude who walks around Union Square Park with a billboard on his chest saying, I am a 6'7" Chinese healer, come talk to me. Okay? Just to give you an idea of what my roommates were like. By the way, real name, I looked at his driver's license, New Jersey driver's license, Jeremy Kirshner. So Devan calls me and says, hey dude. I'm like, yo. I didn't actually talk like that, but okay. He's like, did you hear about the tornado in Brooklyn? I said, Devan, what are you smoking right now? And he said, no, there's a tornado in Brooklyn. And it flooded our entire apartment. And I thought to myself, okay, I've heard this story before. God sends you a flood, what do? 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to Israel. But before that, just a side note in the story was, I had left a lot of my belongings in that apartment, okay? And Devan was able to salvage most of it. All the important stuff, sleeping bag, clothes, laptop. What didn't he save? My Buddha statue, incense holder, the little Tibetan painting that I had, all that stuff, gone in the flood. So anyway, that was 6.5 years ago. Here I am today. Baruch Hashem. Okay, we wrote this song in 1973.